And it's Come Fly With Me as they race up towards the finish. Hurricane Fly, what a seasonal reappearance, what a training performance. And Hurricane Fly and Ruby Walsh win the BHP Insurance Champion Hurdle in some style.
You must have been delighted with Hurricane Fly's performance in the Irish Champion Hurdle. Your initial reaction at Leopardstown that day was to express surprise.
Yes, I hadn't been happy with him all winter. And we got there on the day and my first two runners ran very disappointing. And you're always anxious. I was hoping that he'd run a good race and acquit himself well. Thought we had as much work as I could get into him, but I was surprised with the manner of his win. I thought it was the best performance of his career. I think the handicapper says equal to Cheltenham last year. I thought it was better. And that's what surprised me, because with the ground getting worse on the day, weather getting worse, I wondered, thoughts going through my head, should I maybe withdraw and come to England? There was 2 Champion Hurl trials in England the following weekend, and subsequently they were both abandoned, I think. So we were lucky. I just said, no, we're here, let's run and see what happens. We've waited long enough. And then for him to come out and put in a performance like that blew me away, I think.
And then in terms of ground, he's won on sort of most types.
Yeah, but that was the one thing that we knew he'd won on heavy ground before. So even though I was apprehensive about him coming out first time out on it, he had done it before first time out on that type of ground, probably more so than any other horse in the field. So except maybe Thousand Stars, and Paul set a proper gallop on Thousand Stars, because a lot of people probably said Thousand Stars we didn't make enough use of him at Christmas, and he was fit and well. He'd done a real good bit of work before Leopardstown the other day, and if Hurricane Fly didn't fire, I thought this fellow was well up to winning it. He had probably done as good bit of work as he'd ever done, and just for the 2 mistakes over the last 3 hurdles, the third last and the second last, he'd have he ran a fantastic race. So it was a true run race, and then for Hurricane Fly to come off that pace and do as well as he did, I thought was fantastic.
It must have been very encouraging with a view towards defending his crown at Cheltenham.
Certainly. I mean, if I can just keep him in that form, I think that sort of form on that day to me was it's going to be form that's going to be hard to beat anyhow.
And you mentioned Thousand Stars. Plans open for him?
I think so. You don't know what's going to happen between now and Cheltenham, so certainly he's well entitled to run the Champion Hurdle, and he'll be kept in both races right up to the last minute, and we'll see what happens.
The other race being the World Hurl, you've other
yes,
contenders for that?
We seem to have a lot of middle to long distance novice, or not novice hurlers, but hurlers, Zaidpur, Michael Dagenais, Final Approach, Murad.
So young.
Of course, another one. He's got another hike in the ratings after Trifolium's win the other day. So we have plenty for that division, and it's nice to have 1, if not 2, for the other division as well.
There is a horse in the World Hurl called Big Bucks. So are you sort of looking at it realistically? Are you sort of racing for place money, or do you think you've got a shout?
Big Bucks I thought was awesome the other day in Cheltenham as well. He's going to be hard to beat, but we have to keep him straight or play our cards.
And Quevega has become a standing dish at Cheltenham, going to win the David Nicholson Mares Hurl, hopefully for the 4th year running.
Yes, she has been in great form. I'd say even a bit more forward than last year. Last week now she just went off the boil a little bit. We gave her a few easy days, but this morning on the gallop she was back in good order again. So I have plenty of work done with her, and I think it'll be just normal preparation from now till Cheltenham, and hopefully she'll make it to the start in that race.
Normal preparation for Quevega for Cheltenham in the past has meant little or no racing.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about the reasons for that.
Well, after her first win there, she came back, I think, from France with the hind leg injury, and it was touch and go whether she'd ever race again. And we discussed it with the vets, and my owners are racing people rather than breeding people. And I just said, look, we're going to give her every chance to come back and race again. So they let going, and his team said about giving me, setting about fixing her, which they did, and then give me a training regime, which we followed, and it worked. And I was happy we did that. Following year, I ran her in a schooling, we did the same thing, ran her in a schooling hurdle in prep for a race, and she came back from the schooling hurdle with an injury on the same leg. Now, subsequently, it was a different injury, it was just a knock. But I got such a fright, I said, that's it, we're not doing any more schooling hurdles or schooling or races or anything, and we'll just prepare for Cheltenham. And we did, and she won, and I'm just happy to let her do that again. That's what we did last year, and hopefully the same again this year.
Creature of habit, Willie Mullins.
I don't know, but she's such a good engine, and we just want to go to Cheltenham, and everyone has aspirations of having one good enough to go. So we know she's good enough to go, and my job is just to keep her right to get there, and that's what we'll do. And then we might go back to Pontessan after that.
On the run inside the last 200 yards, it's Quevega being driven out by Ruby Walsh. Roberta Goldbeck is trying hard to close for Barry Geraghty, but running up towards the finish, Quevega will give Willie Mullins his 8th Hennessy Gold Cup and wins for Ruby Walsh, beats Roberta Goldbeck.
At the start of the season, did you expect that Quevega might be a possible Cheltenham Gold Cup horse?
Well, 2 seasons ago we'd hoped he would be, and the season got derailed a bit with his couple of falls and being brought down. This season then, he's had his prep races, everything has gone perfect, so then he's won his Grade 1 race against some nice opposition, so he deserves his chance. And it's sort of what we always thought he could turn out to be. So now we're in that position, but we've got huge opposition to beat over there, and maybe ground that might be a bit drier than we would be seen to our best on, but we'll wait and see.
The Boxer George and the Christie's Fox Hunter is a 10-year-old now, but seems to be improving with age.
He is. He loved the ground over there. He was second to Tristan Davis' horse in the Fox Hunters in Aintree last year, and I think Tristan Davis' horse seems to be out for the season, and one or two others I hear are out, so he will go for that and go. Well, his main aim will be the Fox Hunters in Aintree, but we'll try and get to Cheltenham as well.
Cross-country chase, Scots-Irish, sort of well into his career when you decided to switch to the cross-country.
It's amazing how quickly he's adapted to banks, loves them, and like he's only jumped a few banks that I have up on the Gallop, and we brought him away once or twice, but I'm surprised that a horse changing code from a 2-mile chaser that can change codes, and he's just electric over the banks. Certainly we've been very happy with everything he does. Now it's 3 miles and 7, but I think the day he was carried out he was going very well. However, Emmett was riding Uncle Junior in the same race, and anything over 3 miles he's only starting to get into gear, and Emmett said he was only starting to get into gear that day. Both riders, after being carried out, felt both their horses were going very easy. So I don't know what way it'll be, but both those horses I think go for that race anyhow.
And Scots-Irish came out and won nicely at
the other day. Yeah, he did it again nicely, and just the way he jumped those double banks, I know they don't have anything like that in Cheltenham, but both horses flew around Cheltenham before, so hoping if we can keep between the flags they'll both run well.
How about the handicaps? Will you sort of?
I will. I mean, up to last year we didn't run too many in handicaps, but changed policy last year and just entered all the horses and handicaps, because unless we go for the Irish National, which is a 3-5 handicap chase, we dry up in Ireland at that time of the year until maybe Punchestown comes along. So I'll enter a good few horses in all the different handicaps this year, and hopefully we can something might fall right for us. It's very hard for us. We see the English handicap ratings, and sometimes you think you have one in nicely and other times not, but they're handicaps and you just take your chance, I think.
And handicap hurls, same apply?
All same apply, yeah. I mean, I'm just talking about handicaps in general, you know. We'll just enter them if we think we see something handicap nicely. Hopefully we can fancy it, but we're going to have probably lots of runners and handicaps too. One would think that he'll be better when the ground gets drier in the spring, and he looks the real deal.